There's a moment that I believe almost all of us after turning 50 have experienced. It's early morning. The sunlight slips through the window as you walk into the bathroom, switch on the light, and suddenly the face staring back at you doesn't look quite the same as it did yesterday. On your cheeks, or maybe your forehead, a few dark spots have appeared like little punctuation marks. Your skin has written into the story of your life. My name is Ethan Greenwell. I'm 60 years old, and I've spent more than 3 decades working as a physician here in the United States, caring for adults and older patients. And one of the most common concerns I hear isn't high blood pressure or diabetes, but something that might surprise you: dark spots or melasma. At first it may sound like just a cosmetic issue, but in reality every spot is a signal, a whisper from the body telling us that something deeper inside is changing. Why is melasma after 50 such a big deal? Many people used to think, oh, melasma is just something women in their 30s or 40s get, usually after pregnancy or during hormone changes. But then one day at 55 or 60, they look in the mirror and see those dark patches becoming more and more noticeable. The truth is, after 50, melasma not only appears more often, but it's also harder to treat. Why? Because our skin, just like our whole body, has entered a new phase. It's thinner, more fragile, and slower to recover. In fact, a 2020 study published in the Journal of Dermatology showed that skin cell renewal decreases by up to 40% after the age of 50 compared to age 30. That means sun damage, hormone shifts, or lifestyle stressors are no longer easy for the skin to heal on its own. Instead, they leave permanent marks, what we recognize as melasma. The inside story: hormones and aging. After 50, women move through menopause, and men enter andropause, the stage when testosterone declines sharply. These hormonal changes disrupt the normal regulation of melanin, the pigment that determines skin color. Think of hormones as the conductor of an orchestra. When they're balanced, the music flows beautifully. But when the conductor leaves, each instrument plays on its own, and the result is a messy, uneven symphony across your face: blotches, patches, dark spots. On top of that, collagen and elastin, the fibers that keep skin firm and elastic, drop rapidly. The skin becomes thinner, drier, weaker, and once melanin rises to the surface, it no longer fades as easily as it once did. The outside story: sunlight, and the memory of the skin. Here's something many of my patients are shocked to hear: your skin has memory. All those summers spent on the beaches of California, those long walks under the sun without a hat, or the hours driving while sunlight streamed through the car window. Your skin has recorded every bit of it. After 50, those memories resurface. The DNA damage caused by UVA and UVB rays built up over decades now shows up as melasma, freckles, and sometimes even skin cancer. According to the American Academy of Dermatology, over 90% of visible signs of skin aging, including melasma, are directly linked to sun exposure. Which means it's not time that leaves its mark on your skin, it's the sun. The overlooked factor: stress and lifestyle. Another thing I notice among many patients after 50 is the weight of new stresses: declining health, children leaving home, financial concerns, even changes in relationships. Chronic stress keeps cortisol, the stress hormone, elevated, and cortisol fuels melanin production. The result: dark spots that not only get darker, but also spread more quickly. Pair that with poor sleep, a common issue for older adults, and the skin loses its golden hours of nighttime repair. So what do we do? The most important thing I want to share here is this: melasma after 50 isn't just a story about the mirror. It's a story about your inner health. If you're only relying on a whitening cream, hoping for a miracle, you'll likely be disappointed. But if you understand the deeper causes: hormones, sunlight, lifestyle, then you can absolutely take back control and fade those dark spots safely and sustainably. In the rest of this video, we'll dive deeper into each cause, the common mistakes people make, and most importantly, the real practical science-backed steps you can start using at home. And I promise you this: if you stay patient, you'll come to see that these dark spots are not the scars of aging, but simply a small chapter in your bigger story of living healthy, radiant, and confident after 50. Melasma, after 50. How is it different from when you were younger? There's something interesting that many of my patients often ask me. Doctor, I used to have a few dark spots back in my 40s, but with just a few months of cream, they faded. Now that I'm in my 60s, I've tried all kinds of products, and nothing seems to work. I usually smile gently and ask them back. Have you noticed that at this age, everything in the body changes, so why would the skin stay the same as it once was? Skin after 50. No longer the same coat as before. When we're young, the skin is like a brand new fabric, bright, elastic, and quick to recover after every little scratch. But after 50, that fabric has weathered sunlight dust, and of course time itself. It gets thinner, more fragile, and once it's stained, it's much harder to return it to its original state. Research shows that the rate of skin cell renewal drops by almost half after age 50, which means if at 30 a dark spot might take just weeks or months to fade, after 50 it can linger, like an uninvited guest that simply refuses to leave. A patient's story. I remember Mrs. Margaret, 63, sitting across from me and saying, "Back in my 40s, I just needed to change my moisturizer and my skin brightened. But now I've tried everything from prescription creams to face masks, and they're still there, like shadows that won't leave." And I told her, because at this stage, melasma is no longer just a surface issue. It reflects what's happening inside your body, your hormones, your blood vessels, even the rhythm of your daily life. A different way of seeing. Have you ever thought that each dark spot on your face isn't just a patch of pigment, but a milestone of time that they record? The summers when you went without a hat, the nights you skipped sleep, or the hormonal shifts after menopause. If we look at them like a map, perhaps every spot has its own story to tell. The lesson: the important thing isn't to compare today's skin with how it looked years ago. It's to understand that now your skin needs a different approach. Like tending to an aging garden, you can't use the same fertilizer, the same watering routine as in the beginning. You have to be patient, gentle, and accept that change comes slowly, but it can last. So if skin after 50 is already different, what are the deeper internal reasons that make melasma so stubborn? Right after this, I'll share with you some truths that are rarely mentioned. The role of hormones, the natural aging process, and even genetics, those silent forces that awaken each dark spot on our faces. The inside story. When the body changes at its roots. Have you ever wondered, why is it that the same face, the same skin, could once fade dark spots in just a few weeks at age 30, but by 55 or 60, those same spots cling on, refusing to leave? The answer lies inside, within the quiet changes our bodies go through over the years. Hormones and menopause are andropause. To me, hormones are like the conductor of an orchestra. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all working together in harmony to keep the skin even-toned and healthy. But then menopause comes for women, and andropause for men. The conductor quietly walks off stage. The orchestra still plays, but there's no order anymore. Melanin, the pigment that darkens skin, starts producing wildly, leaving off-key notes, the dark spots we call melasma. I remember Susan, 58, a retired teacher. Her skin had always been bright, just a few wrinkles here and there. But 2 years after menopause, she came to me, worried, "Doctor, I never had melasma before. But now it feels like my cheeks are covered in a shadow." The truth is, the loss of estrogen after menopause accelerates collagen loss, weakening the skin's protective barrier. And when that wall collapses, melanin needs only the smallest signal to flare up dramatically. The aging process of the skin. We often think aging is just about wrinkles. But deeper than that, it's about losing the ability to self-heal. When we're young, skin renews itself every 28 days. After 50, that cycle can double or even triple, which means anything that imprints on the skin stays far longer. Collagen and elastin, the fibers, like the strings of a drum keeping it taut, slowly leave us. The skin thins, becomes fragile. So when melasma shows up, it's like ink pressed onto thin paper. It sinks deep and it's nearly impossible to erase. I think of Robert, 67, an avid gardener. He told me, when I was young, I could be out in the sun all day. My skin would just burn, then peel. Now, just 20 minutes in the yard, and the dark patches stay for months. It shows us that after 50, the skin no longer forgets damage, it remembers and holds on to everything. Genetics and predisposition. Some things were planted long ago within our very genes. Certain people carry genes that make them produce more melanin. If your mother or grandmother had melasma, chances are you may walk alongside it too. I had two patients, a mother and daughter. The mother was 70, the daughter 45. Both had melasma. But what struck me was the difference in how it appeared. For the mother after menopause, the spots spread widely. The daughter, however, with careful skin care early on, only had a light sprinkling. It reminded me genetics is like a seed. But the way you care for your life, that's the soil. If the soil is healthy, that seed may stay dormant for a very long time. A deeper reflection. Perhaps every dark spot on your face isn't just a patch of pigment. It's a mirror reflecting what's happening inside, hormones, shifting, time passing, even the current of your family's genes. And if we only focus on the surface of the skin, we're just trimming the branches. To truly make a difference, we must look deeper, balancing hormones, supporting skin health, and knowing whether we carry a predisposition. Caring for the roots, that's the only path to lasting change. But of course, the story doesn't end there. Internal changes are only one piece of the puzzle. Outside factors like sunlight, medications, even the worries of daily life all leave their quiet marks on the face as well. So let's move together into the next chapter. The outside causes, a lifetime of accumulation. External causes, a lifetime of accumulation. When people think of melasma, they usually point to age, to hormones. But there's another truth I always remind my patients: melasma doesn't only come from inside. It's also the result of an entire lifetime lived on the outside, accumulating little by little, year after year. Sunlight and the memory of the skin. Do you believe that skin has memory? Every summer morning you forgot to put on sunscreen, every beach trip in your youth, when you let the sun burn your skin kept the record. UVA and UVB rays don't just disappear after you shower, or once the redness fades. They penetrate deep, damaging DNA, and those marks sit quietly for decades. By the time you reach 50, when your skin's recovery system has weakened, that sun diary begins to open, and melasma shows up like pages already stained by time. I once met Charles, 65, a former sailor. He told me when I was young, I thought the sun was my companion. But now, looking at my face, I realize it left behind the deepest scars. Medications and chronic conditions. After 50, many people begin taking medications daily: heart pills, blood pressure, meds, diabetes, treatments. Some of these drugs make the skin more sensitive to light. Just a little sun can leave behind dark spots. And it's not just the medicine. The liver and kidneys, the body's filters, also weaken over time. When detoxification slows, pigments and toxins build up more easily, worsening melasma. Helen, 61, once told me I always thought only sunlight caused melasma. But after starting my blood pressure meds, my skin suddenly became darker and much more sensitive to the sun. It's a reminder that even the tiny pills we take each day can write another line into the skin's diary. Stress and sleep. There's another silent enemy: stress and sleepless nights. When we're under constant worry, cortisol, the stress hormone, stays high. And cortisol is like gasoline for melanin, pushing it to work harder, faster. I remember William, 70, who lost his wife after a long illness. For a year, he barely slept, restless every night. When he came back to see me, the melasma on his face had doubled. He said, "When I look in the mirror, I don't just see an older face. I see grief etched onto my skin." You see, the skin is never separate from the soul. Stress and poor sleep don't just drain our energy, they paint new shadows across our faces. Diet and lifestyle. And finally, we can't ignore how we eat, how we live each day. Sugar, alcohol, coffee, too much of them act like flames, speeding up oxidation, making the skin dull and quick to darken. But the opposite is also true. Vegetables, fruits rich in vitamin C and E foods loaded with antioxidants. These are like little shields protecting your skin. A simple salad with oranges and berries, or a handful of walnuts, not only nourishes your heart, but quietly helps your skin resist aging. Ask yourself this today: have you given your skin more light from clean, fresh food? Or have you fed it another glass of wine, another slice of cake, the very things that leave nothing behind but wrinkles and dark spots? The lesson: what your skin shows today isn't just about today. It's the sum of decades of sun, of medicine, of stress, and of daily meals. And the lesson is clear: we can't erase the past, but we can write new pages in the skin's diary through the choices we make right now. So we've seen that both the inside and the outside contribute to melasma. But there's a bigger mistake many people make: chasing quick fixes, hoping to erase melasma in just a few days. And often, those very mistakes only make things worse. In the next part, I'll share with you the most common mistakes people over 50 make when treating melasma, so you can avoid them and save yourself time, money, and disappointment.